Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Kunda Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasodanandana Brajajanarandana Jasodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamuntiravanachari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopijana Balaba Girivanadari Jasodanandana Brajajanarandana. Let's have some speed. Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Kunjararam Madhava Kundabehari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribhajakacharya Satata Shri Shamanas Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON VBT Founder Acharya Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakota Vaishnava Brinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shikahor Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Brinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Dwarka Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath-puri Dham Ki Chamuna Mai Ki Ganga Mai Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samveda Bhakta Binda Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the divine lotus feet of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai. Now, that explains that. Krishna Swadamo Bhagate Dharmaganadi Bisaha Kalaunda Sadishamesha Paranako Nadodita Narayana Namaskritcha Naram Chaivam Narotama Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Bhagavatam is brilliant as the sun. It is arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied with knowledge, religion, etc. Persons who have lost their vision through the dense darkness out of the age of Kali shall get light out of this Purana. Before beginning our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer our respects to the personality of God and Narayan, the Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, the goddess of learning, Mother Saraswati, the author, Srila Vyasadeva, and my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Iti Vyavasito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hitvanya Bhavam Agyanam Tata Swam Bhavam Astitaha Iti Vyavasito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hidvanya Bhavam Agyanam Tataswam Bhavam Astita Iti Vyavasito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hidvanya Bhavam Agyanam Tataswam Bhavam Astita Iti Vyavasito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hidvanya Bhavam Ajnanam Tataswam Bhavam Astita Iti Vyavisito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hidvanya Bhavam Ajnanam Tataswam Bhavam Astita Iti Vyavisito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hidvanya Tataswam Bhavam Astita Iti Vyavasito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hidvanya Bhavam Ajnanam Tataswam Vaishnavis Iti Vyavisito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hidvanya Bhavam Ajnanam Tataswam Bhavam Astita Iti Vyavasito Buddhya Narayana Grihitaya Hidvanya Bhavam Ajnanam Tataswam Bhavam Astita. All right, Iti. Thus, Vyavisita, having firmly decided, Buddhya, by proper intelligence, Narayana Grihitaya, excuse me, completely controlled by the mercy of Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hidva, giving up, Anyabhavam, consciousness other than Krishna consciousness. Ajnanam, which is nothing but constant ignorance and darkness. Tata, thereafter, Swam, his original position as an eternal servant of Krishna. Bhavam, devotional service. Astita, situated. Thus, Maharaj Khatvanga, by his advanced intelligence in rendering service of the Lord, gave up false identification with the body full of ignorance. In his original position of eternal servitorship, he engaged himself in rendering service to the Lord. All say, you say. Thus, Maharaj Khatvanga, by his advanced intelligence in rendering service to the Lord, gave up false identification with the body, full of ignorance. In his original position of eternal servitorship, he engaged himself in rendering service to the Lord. Purport. When one actually becomes purely Krishna conscious, no one has any right to rule over him. When situated in Krishna consciousness, one is no longer in the darkness of ignorance. And when, freed from all darkness, all such darkness, one is situated in his original position. Jivera Swarupaya Krishnera Nitya Das, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 20, verse 108. The living entity is eternally the servant of the Lord. And thus, when he engages himself in the service of the Lord in all respects, he enjoys the perfection of life. Om Gnati Mirandasya Gyanagana Salakaya Jakshu Shunmilitan Gena Tasmare Shri Gurave Namaha. Other than Dravida, this Vyavasito Buddhya, this intelligence, which Prabhupada translate is having firmly decided, make a vow, I am not going to turn from this decision, fixed in determination. Does anyone know a verse in Bhagavad Gita that also begins with a similar Vyavasaya Atmika, also talking about this intelligence? Ram. And the translation? Those who are resolute on this path, as compared to those those who aren't fixed, are multi-branched, splayed out, diffused. So many. Vaikuntha and I, he can tell you. We one time, it's a long story, but the short version is this guy was wall-eyed. You know what wall-eyed means? One eye goes this way, the other guy goes this way. And he was a professor at a university. And he was looking at us with one eye, and his other eye was watching the pretty girls go by. And we were thinking, this guy is really, his consciousness is all over the map. So, I mean, not to make fun of the poor man, but he was definitely distracted. So, what is this fixed, resolute determination? What is it, and how do we get it? Because if you read the verse, the conclusion is what? The conclusion of Prabhupada's purport, the conclusion of Prabhupada's purport is, let me see if I can find it again. When one engages himself, and I'm giving a little purport here, Prabhupada saying with that fixed intelligence, he enjoys the perfection of life. Well, sounds like something we'd like to have, right? So what's the follow? If I want this, what's the follow-on question? How do I get it? I want it. How do I get it? So, seems like a reasonable question, isn't it? Okay, that's what we're going to try to talk about today. The devotees on a morning walk, you can hear it. They asked Prabhupada, devotee, I forget who, he asked Prabhupada, why is Maya so strong? Does anyone know why Maya is so strong? Dravida Prabhu. Because your determination is so weak. Why are we so strong? Why is Maya so strong? Because we're weak. So then the real question isn't that Maya is so strong, but how do we become strong in our fixed intelligence? The intelligence, Prabhupada said, is the next door neighbor to the soul. And there's all different types. In the 18th chapter Bhagavad Gita, there's intelligence in the mode of ignorance, intelligence in the mode of passion, intelligence in the mode of goodness. Then there's beyond goodness, Sutta Sattva intelligence. So what is the intelligence that it's talking about here? You know, there's the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So why, does anyone here like to be cheated? I've told a story, and I'll give a brief gloss of it. The first time I realized that everyone does not have my best interests at heart. I was probably around 5, maybe 6 years old at a movie theater with my older brother and my older sister. And my kind and patient mother, who got us out of her hair for a few hours. It was a kinder and gentler era in those days. I was in the care of my older brother and my older sister, and she gave me some money for some snacks. You know, lusty-tongued kid. So I remember it was the first time I had a little money of my own. And I thought, I made a very calculated estimation. Which is the biggest candy bar, which is the longest, which is, I measured them all up in my little lusty mind, and I concluded to go for, I think it was an Almond Joy, because it looked the biggest, it looked the thickest, chocolate coated. Sign me up, and I plunked down my 5 cents, which is a big amount of money in those days. It was a hefty investment. And I ripped open the candy bar, and what the? 2 little things came out. It was on a cardboard tray. So the actual, I thought, what? I've been hosed. I've been cheated. My brother, who was a little wiser than me, he said, get used to it. So nobody likes that experience of being cheated. You think, what the? But we are being cheated. Without proper intelligence, we are being cheated again and again and again ad infinitum in this material world. It never pans out to be what it's supposed to be. Not doesn't last. You may get a flash in the pan, you get a momentary relief, but it doesn't really solve the devotional service as described in the first verse of Chaitanya Shikshastikam. It's an ever-expanding ocean of happiness. You ever find that in the material world? You get a little bit of relief. So, no one likes to be cheated. But if we, as it says, fool me once, shame on you. It's your fault. But you let the same person cheat you again and again and again, well, then you dummy. Why are you listening to this person? What do you think of somebody who keeps being cheated by the same person again and again and again? Wise up. Isn't it? Hey, come, don't talk to me about it. Why are you getting on that train? So in a similar fashion, we have to, part of the transcendental resolute determination is the firm conviction that I'm not going to be cheated again. I'm not going to accept what do they call it? Prabhupada calls it in one place, the siren call of material nature. And that comes from, Prabhupada was profoundly well-educated, and he could just pull out just the right phrase. Siren call comes from Greek mythology. And it's when Odysseus was on his way back to Greece or whatever his home, I forget what it was. And along the way, there were so many problems. And there was a place, there was an island. It was the island of the Sirens, other than Dravida. Anyone know what the island of the Sirens and what the problem was? They were beautiful women who could sing enchantingly. And sailors would sail past the island, hear these singers, and sail to the island to embrace their loving songs. But the problem was that the island was surrounded by reefs and sharp rocks, and anyone who tried to sail the island, their boat got smashed and they drowned. So so what to do? They had to sail past the island of the Sirens, and Odysseus, I think is his name, wanted to hear them. Yeah? Yeah. And so he had all the sailors fill their ears with wax so they couldn't hear. And he had them strap them to the mast and say, whatever I say, don't listen to it. Because he wanted to hear. So when he sailed past, he became completely enchanted. Let me go, cut off these ropes, I'll kill you when I get in. He wanted to jump off the boat. So the siren call of material nature, Prabhupada calls it. It's enchanting, it's inducing. But one has to be intelligent to understand. One of the first things I heard Prabhupada say was that suppose somebody invites you to their house and for dinner or lunch. And when you walk in, you see, when you knock on the door, they open the door, and you see a table arrayed with all of your favorite edibles. Samosas cooked by Ramapati, jalebis by some expert Bengali Mataji, whatever it is, you think, sign me up. But Prabhupada says, but you know that behind the door, the door swings open, so behind the door is a man with a club who, as soon as you step in the house, is going to beat you on the head. Do you go inside? Hey, but there's jalebis, Come on. Even better than jalebis if you've ever had malpura made right, it's crunchy. It's like a jalebi, only flat. And it's crunchy. And you soak them in yogurt and strawberry yogurt with fresh strawberries. It's ambrosial, said the diabetic sannyasi. But there's malpura. Do you step inside the building? What do you think, Govardhan? You think, no, there's somebody behind it. So that is a way to see fixed intelligence, to know the result of the thing. There is one thing that is certain in this world. Everything else is ephemeral and will-o'-the-wisp is the way. You know what a will-o'-the-wisp is? It's a little dust. You ever seen that there's, winds blowing across a parking lot, and it creates a little dust storm? They're usually not very tall. It's a little, like a mini tornado, and it floats them and jets them in a circle, and then it blows away. That's a will-o'-the-wisp. And Prabhupada describes this. It actually has no form. It's just dust and wind, and it will dissipate in a moment or two when the currents change. So Prabhupada describes this world as a will-o'-the-wisp, and the happiness within it, it has no real substance, and it's gone in a flash. So what is the one thing we can count on? My mother's love? What is it? What can we count on? Yes, Ram. Okay, let's call on Joseph.
My dad used to say death and taxes.
Okay, you're half right. Many people cheat on their taxes. No, you're on beam. But can you cheat death? Can you say to Yamarash, nah, Thursday doesn't work for me? Can you come never? Does never work for you? No. When you got to go, you got to go. And it's often at an inconvenient time. I'm thinking of the time. My favorite story, which I've said before and I'm going to repeat, and it was in that great chronicle of truth, the San Diego Union. Up here at Del Mar, an elderly couple, opening day of where the turf meets the surf up at Del Mar Racetrack. A couple bet on a horse. The odds were 30-1. The horse was blind in one eye, lame, on the way to the glue factory. but it had the same name as their granddaughter. And they're just, you're like, Hare Krishna, can someone get this lady some prashadam? Oh, you got a plan. Okay, thank you. So they bet on the horse. You know, they're just there. You know, you go gambling, if you have a brain, you know you're going to lose the money. It's just the thrill that you might win. Las Vegas nickname is Lost Wages. So anyway, they bet on the horse. And lo and behold, true story, they bet on the horse. Lo and behold, the lead horse tripped, knocked the second in lead out of the way, this and that, and they all had a big crash up. And the half-blind, lame horse won. They won, it was something like $13,000, which is a lot of money, but you can imagine 20 years ago, it was a solid chunk of change. They were so elated, and everybody's patting them on the back. They've announced it on the microphone, and the old man had a heart attack, fell over dead, and the wife, dark night of the soul, and he had the ticket, and the ticket blew out. Stay with the husband, go for the ticket. Stay with the husband, go for the, you know, it was a little bit of a tension there. People showed their true colors. But they lost, within a second, she lost her husband and they lost the ticket. Couldn't find it. So the only thing that is for certain, and to put it in a Puranic sense, when Yudhisthira Maharaj was asked by his father in disguise, the father was in disguise, what is the most wonderful thing in this world? And how did Dharmaraj, Yudhisthira Maharaj, respond? The most wonderful thing in this world. Did he say Malpura? Did he say the sunset at the end, you know, what did he say other than Dravida? Yes. He said, everyone's going to die, and yet they think, not me. There's a famous poet, who knows if he's famous anymore, but he wrote, I knew that all men were mortal, but I always thought I would be the exception. So everybody dies. It's the one thing you can count on. And what is the one thing they're not planning on? Don't be more. You know, somebody sent me, and thank you, whoever you are out there, sent me, it was an interview with a bunch of morticians. That's where I got the fact that in 6 weeks, or 6 months, most people have forgotten the sound of somebody's voice. And without a picture, they can't even remember what you looked like. You know, eternal love, my soulmate. Well, see how long that lasts. So what was I going to say? Anyway, it'll come back to me. Let's move on. The death is certain. Have I established that fact? The one thing that you can count on is that we're all going to drop dead. And who is preparing for that? Oh, that's what I was going to say. They say most people don't talk to their family about funeral arrangements, about their will. They don't want to think about it, and they don't want the others thinking it. They say, why are you so morbid? It's the one thing that's certain. You don't calculate for it. So Chanakya Pandit, and it's also in the Bhagavatam from the, what is the enlightenment by the natural path. The bees work hard, busy like a bee, make a beeline. You don't see a bee just chilling, stop by for a smoothie or something. They're zip, zip, zip. They're working hard, right? Now, why is the bee working hard? To get pollen to make honey. Who enjoys the, anyway, I'll just say it. We had our Jai Gaur Sundar. Remember Jai Gaur Sundar? Once you know him, he's hard to forget. Jai Gaur Sundar was a beekeeper, and you keep the bees in a box, you know? And then you smoke them out. I think the smoke stuns them, something, they don't bite, they're kind of... So the bee works hard to make the honey in the beehive. But the bee doesn't enjoy the honey. The honey is taken by the beekeeper. So they're working hard for somebody else. They don't get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. The beekeeper takes it all. Similarly, we have this life, at least how long we have Mars Katvango, how long is it going to last? But we have this life. Now, and we're going to lose it. Two irrevocable facts. We're alive now, I think, therefore I am, but I'm going to drop dead. So if my life is going to be taken from me by time, it's either going to be ripped away from me or I can give it. My brother was 4 years older than me, and we used to fight. We used to fight all the time. We were bona fide brothers. And he had a longer arm than me. And he would just hold me, grab onto my head and hold me at a distance. I would swing, I would kick. I was out of range, you know. He couldn't get it. I'd spit. I couldn't do anything, you know. And when I ran out of steam, smack. You know, he just held me at bay till I wore out. I never won. My mother told me wisely, we're off the track, it's an Oprah moment. I said, as soon as I'm big enough, I'm going to kill him. And my mother said, no, by the time you're big enough, you'll be friends. And I thought, never. And it's true. When I got big enough, we became friends, you know. I was probably a pest earlier. But the point is, I never won. We're in a fight with time, and we are not going to win. Whenever we run out of steam, you know, whack, and off we go. So if we have to if this life is going to be ripped from us, suppose I have $100, and I know that right down the street is somebody who's going to mug me and take my $100. Isn't it better if I see some poor person or a charity box? Shouldn't I give it away before it's ripped from my hands? What's better? Have it ripped from my hands with nothing, or should I give it away? We should give it away. So if this life is going to be ripped away from us like Mars Katvango, and who knows when, but inevitably, shouldn't we give this life in the service to Krishna? If we're going to lose it anyway, just like the bee's going to lose the honey, shouldn't I give it away? Shouldn't I give it to Krishna's service? Prabhupada so many times said, just give this one life. So that's a point I wanted to make. I also wanted to say about this advanced intelligence. And I think we were reading the other day, or maybe I was listening to a tape by Prabhupada, even a dog eater, Prabhupada points out that even a dog eater, in Vedic tradition, won't eat a cow. You can eat a dog, eat a pig, eat a goat. I mean, that's not good, but that's allowable. So the lowest of them all is somebody who eats a dog. Now that's separating from someone to eat a cow. But if that dog eater, born in the lowest caste, lower than a Sudra, what do they call Muchihai, Suchihai, that by one becoming a Vaishnava, one's completely purified. So even Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family, and all that means with it. You fill in the blanks. but he became Namacharya. So it's talking about that fixed determination. Someone who understands that let me just become Krishna's devotee. And I was thinking of some good example. We have Davarsa Muni. Davarsa Muni was a great mystic. He could travel to all the planetary systems. He even went to the planet where the ocean of milk is and got the darshan of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. That's pretty mystic. And he lost everything. You've got Sukracharya, a learned Brahmin, the spiritual master of Bali Maharaj and the demigods. The wives, you had the Brahmins. You've got the wives. What did the wives of the Brahmins, anyone know, short, succinctly, what happened with the wives of Vrindavan in Vrindavan? The wives of the Brahmins. Krishna book, 101. Huh? Well, no, okay, that I didn't ask the question properly. The Krishna, was it Balaram or Krishna? They wanted to get something to eat. And, the boys were hungry. So they sent them to ask for these, to these Brahmins who were doing all their jagas, swaha, very learned, to say Gayatri properly according to the Smarta Brahman process takes about 2.5 hours. You got to purify the 8 directions, you got to purify, it's a whole thing. They were doing all of that properly. But what did they miss? When the cowherd boys asked in Krishna's name or Balaram's name for something to eat, what did the Brahmins do? Run along, don't bother us. Was that what you were going to say? Run along, don't bother us. Can't you see we're busy here? What did the wives of the Brahmins do? Prabhupada said women by nature have a soft heart, generally speaking. Softer than men. What did they do? Dravida. They gave everything to feed Krishna Balaram and the cowherd boys. So what is the point of all the Vedas? Davarsa Muni missed the... That's what's being spoken about in this verse. Davarsa Muni missed the point. Sukracharya missed the point. There's so many examples. The husbands of the wives of the Brahmins, they missed the point. It goes on and on and on. You can understand so many things. You know, Prabhupada tells a story, and I'm not going to take the time because we need to wrap up, but about the scholar who knew so many things, but when the boat sank, he didn't know how to swim. He wasted 100% of his life. So we have this life. We know that death is certain, guaranteed. Nothing else is stable. What is the one thing we should focus on? What is the conclusion of, what is it? Vedesa durlabha adurlabha atma bhakto. That to understand Krishna is very, very difficult. But by pure devotion, then Krishna can be understood. So as it says in this verse, Katvanga Maharaj, as he's facing death, it says, by his advanced intelligence, that means understanding what this world is and what is our position, he gave up all false identification with the body. What to speak identifications with the mind? I mean, that's a real pain. In his original position of eternal servitorship, he engaged himself in rendering service. Let me just use this life in Krishna's service. And how do we get that intelligence? I'm not going to present the whole thing I was going to say. But how? According to Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, this is a big hint, just like there's 4 nutshell verses in the Bhagavatam, there are 4 nutshell verses in the Gita. One of them, well, both of them actually, but the first one begins with the word Tesham. Tesham satata yuktanam Bhajitam pratipurvakam dadami buddhayogam tam yena mam upayantate. So how do we get this determination? Atasi Krishna namadi nabhavad gramya indriya. Rupa Goswami writes, and it comes from somewhere in the Vedas, that you can't understand Krishna with your blunt senses. You'll never understand his name, his form, his pastimes. But, luckily for us, what is the one sense and its engagement that can help us realize Krishna? Anyone know that one sense? Is it the mind? Is it the intelligence? Show me God. Other than Ram, anybody know? Jiva Dao? Anybody know other than Dravidas who was about to explode if someone doesn't give the answer? Sankarshan, welcome back. What is the one sense that can open the door? Krishna can't be, he's a Chinta, he's a Chuta, and yet he can be realized by one sense. It's the tongue. Chanting and taking prasadam. So the point is that devotional, and we'll end here, devotional service is the means serving Krishna. Let me just serve Krishna. And Krishna within the heart as the Supersoul will give us all intelligence to realize the falsity of this material nature, to engage in Krishna's service, and go back to home, back to Godhead. So we should simply take this life and use it in Krishna's service. And that's what Maharaj Katvango is telling us. We can end there. Does anyone have a question? I hope not, because I got to go. Thank you very much, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.